All right, we are going to begin by talking about adding positive and negative numbers. So we're going to start off with a vocab word here, and that word is integer. That vocab word is going to be used a lot from here until the time you graduate, and probably even farther if you go to college or depending on what you do after school. So an integer is a positive or negative whole number. So no fractions, no decimals are included. So I put a few examples here, -5, 8, -184, 672. Those are all integers. They're positive or they're negative. There's no decimals, no fractions. So I want you to think about some activities that you would need to add a positive and negative number together. So think about that. What would you be doing if you had to add positive and negative numbers together? So the first thing that comes to my mind is football. You gain yards, you lose yards, you're adding and subtracting positive and negative numbers. Same thing, I think golf deals with those. In science class, you use positive and negative whole numbers, and I'm sure we could come up with a lot more if we were all having this discussion together. They're used a lot. All right, so moving on, example, in a game, you might gain 5 points for a correct answer and lose 5 points for an incorrect answer. 5 and -5 are on opposite sides of the number line and have the same distance from 0 on the number line. This means that the numbers have the same absolute value. So absolute value is written with these straight up and down lines here. They're not parentheses. They fall into the parenthesis category, but those straight up and down lines mean absolute value. Absolute value means how far from 0 is that number on a number line. So I have a visual here for you. So the absolute value of 5, if you start at 0 if you start at 5 and work your way to 0, you are 5 units away from 0. So the absolute value of a positive 5 is 5. And then if you start at -5, you are also 5 total units from 0. So the absolute value of -5 is also 5. So whenever you're asked to find the absolute value, you say to yourself, how far from 0 is that on a number line? What happens when you add an integer to its opposite? So think about 5 plus -5. Well, 5 is positive. So you have 5, and then that -5 means you're trying to spend that 5. So if you have 5 and you spend 5, you're going to be at 0. So additive inverses are two numbers that have a sum of 0. So another word for additive inverse are opposites. Okay, and here's a picture. You found $5 on the ground, and then you spent that $5, so you're back at 0. Those two numbers are additive inverses or opposites. How do you model an integer addition problem on a number line? So this problem is showing us 2 plus -5. So we always start at 0, and then we are going to move to the first number. That first number is a positive 2. So if we're at 0, we're going to jump to positive 2. Okay, so we're there. Then our second number is a -5. That negative sign really means minus, and negative or minus, we're going to go backwards. So we're at this 2, and we have to go back 5 spots. So if you count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We land at -3. So the answer to this question is -3. I know some of you are probably already thinking, do I have to use a number line? For some of the problems, I might ask you to show me how to use it. But for the most part, no. If you can do these without the number line, that's great. If you need the number line, that's fine as well. Neither way is wrong. So I have a couple of examples here that we need to look at. 3 plus -10. So if I have a number line, if I'm going to use a number line, I'm going to put 0 right here. That's 2. That would be -2, -4. So I'm going to label every other one. I'm not going to try to squeeze them all in there. So our first number listed is +3. So we're going to go to 0 and we're going to jump to +3. Then our second number is a -10. So what that means is we're at 3 and we have to go backwards 10. The negative means backwards. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And we end up right here. And that is at -7. So the answer to this question would be -7. Again, 3 is positive, so you have 3. The 10 has a negative sign. So that means you're trying to spend 10. So if you have 3 and you're trying to spend 10, you would need another 7. So -7 is your final answer. All right, -4 plus 21. So you owe 4, but you have 21. So if you owe 4 and have 21, that means you're going to have a positive number left over. So take the 4 away from the 21, and that would leave you with 17. Again, if you want to draw the number line out, you are more than welcome to. And then our last one, -5 plus -4. So the first one is negative, you owe 5. The second one is negative, and you owe 4. So if you owe 5 and you owe 4, you would owe, so negative, a total of 9. So money is always a good thing to think about with these problems. I think that's something that everybody can relate to and understand. So just be careful on the negative signs. So if I had this problem right here, that is the same exact problem as written above. So don't get confused by a minus sign. A minus sign is still a negative sign. Okay, so you would treat this as -5 and -4.